desperate. Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolf alongside Nick, Brandon, Kevin Wilds. Brandon,
hey.
You on retiring if the Bears get Russ or Deshaun, perhaps?
Oh, Jets. I said Jets. J-E-T-S.
Oh.
Jets.
That's the only way.
Those 30 catches with the Jets.
That's it.
Wouldn't happen.
All right, we'll get to that. We got to start this morning in Dallas. Swear it's official. The hard part is over. Dak officially signed his contract yesterday, richest in Cowboys history, 4 years, $160 million. Now comes the harder part. Got to show the world he's earned this deal. He's worth it. But first, he's got to show the world he's ready, and he's not rushing that process. Take a listen to what he had to say yesterday.
So when I first got hurt, the one thing that I said I wasn't going to do is put a time point on it because of so many different variables and things that can come up. And so, as I say, I'm ready and I'm getting close. I feel good. You saw me walk out here. I can do a lot of things that I obviously couldn't do weeks ago and even days ago that I'm doing today. So it's hard to say that I'll be ready in this time or that time, but I'll be ready when it matters, and I'll be more than healthy and better than I was before.
That's what you want to hear from your franchise quarterback. Brandon, you expect Dak to just pick up where he left off before he got hurt last year?
This is a tough one. No, Jen, I don't. I mean, he'll be out there on the field. He'll take the field. He'll probably be out there some point this offseason, definitely training camp. But the thing that we don't see is when your body's altered as a professional football player, as any professional athlete, what happens to everything else? That's why we always see guys go down with an ankle and then all of a sudden the next year their knee, their hip, because the body tries to overcompensate. He should be able to get back to what his new 100% is going to be in the next couple of months. It depends, but it's all dependent on his physical therapy staff, like how these guys manage this process and take him through the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months. You heard him say it. You know, the last couple of days, I was able to progress and do something I wasn't able to do just a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago. So every day is important. Dak has to be patient. Dak has to be smart. That is the toughest thing for an athlete. He'll get back out there and be able to do the big stuff, but it's about the little things in recovery. Like, oh, man, all right, I just went through 40 plays, 50 plays in practice. Now my knee hurts. Now how do I balance this out? He's going to have a team around him that's going to manage this process, because as a player, you're almost like a NASCAR. That's what we compare ourselves to. In the car, if you're racing Daytona 500, you feel those bolts. If that bolt is loose, you feel the car. It's that detail. So in the professional athlete's body, like, you feel when your VMO's out. You feel when your glute is out. You feel when something isn't firing. So for that guy, he needs to be very detailed in his approach, and he'll be able to bounce back sooner than later because he has Amari, he has Gallup, he has CeeDee Lamb, he has guys he can lean on, Nick. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a process.
And by the way, that's why if you are a NASCAR driver, it's so important to have a professional like Brandon Marshall on your pit crew to check those lug nuts and bolts to make sure everything's good, as Brandon was just last weekend.
Speaking of lug nuts.
On Dak, I would expect Dak to early on show a little rust. This is the longest he's gone since he redshirted at Mississippi State without playing live action football. And I imagine when he was redshirting at Mississippi State, he at least got some practice reps to where he didn't have the type of layoff that he's going to be dealing with here. Furthermore, once the rust is worn off, I do wonder if the running component of his game is going to be changed. And if you remember the conversation surrounding Dak pre-injury, it was that a lot of folks wished he would run a little bit more, that they would emphasize that aspect of his skill set a little bit more. And now I think that is off the table, certainly early on, if not forever, to where not only because he just suffered the injury, but they just made such a large investment in him. They are tied to him that you need to protect that asset. I wonder if something similar could happen to Lamar at some point. If he gets a big contract and the Ravens are like, all right, now we need to protect you a little bit more. But Wilds, to me, the bigger story here is this, and I don't think this is unfair to say. Dak doesn't just need to, once he feels fully himself, pick up where he left off. Dak needs to be better than he ever has been. Because the fact of the matter is this, other than his rookie season, Dak has never demonstrated that he's a top 5 quarterback. And he needs to be in that conversation moving forward for Dak to prove his worth via the contract and for the Cowboys, the way they have built this team to work. Because and Brandon's done a really good job while illustrating how terrible the defense was last year, I don't think the defense will be as bad this coming season, but they obviously are trying to be a offense-oriented team. So Dak doesn't just need to pick up where he left off. He needs to be better than he's been over the last few years for this to work.
So specifically, Nick, because if we can show the graphic that I had built, I thought that they paid Dak for the trajectory that he's on. But I want to go back to what you said. Like, everything's gotten better. When you say that he needs to be, he hasn't been top 10, who do you want him to leap ahead of? It feels unrealistic to be like, hey, you need to be better than Patrick Mahomes. You need to be better than Aaron Rodgers, 2 sort of all-time greats. Who is a guy that you say, like, hey, you need to have a better season than who? Like Kyler? Better than Russ? What is your ranking there?
Okay, so listen, you've got 3 quarterbacks that are in a class by themselves. You have Mahomes, you have Rodgers, and you have Tom Brady. And so those 3 guys, put them aside. You just put those 3 guys aside. You then have Deshaun and Russ, who I think are the next guys up. And I'm going to leave Dak out of this. Then you have a massive group that people would argue about the rankings. Lamar, Baker, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr, Kyler Murray, Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan. That's 9 guys. Dak's got to be better than basically that entire group. He doesn't have to be Lamar. I'm sorry, he doesn't have to be Mahomes or Rodgers or Brady, and he doesn't quite have to be Deshaun or Russ. But that next group of guys, he's got to be better than the best of them if the Cowboys are going to have a chance to achieve what their actual goals are.
But, Nick, how much of it is Dak and how much of it is Coach McCarthy? Like, he has what he needs. I mean, if I'm a wide receiver walking into that locker room, I'm like, this is my guy. This dude can do it all. He has amazing ability to lead. I've seen him lead guys in good times, lead guys in bad times. He has the arm. He has the IQ. Situational football, he's getting better. And when I say getting better, not saying like he was bad, like every year he's taking that leap of, oh, let me ascend to where Russ and Deshaun's at. Let me ascend to where Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers is. So when you look at the guys around him, CeeDee Lamb, Gallup, you got Mari Cooper, you got Collins, you got Smith, you got Looney, you got Zach Martin, you got Zeke. Zeke. Who's the pressure on? The pressure is on Coach McCarthy. Can Coach McCarthy now take what he was doing in Appleton, Wisconsin, now he's in Frisco, Texas, and see if he can now take his game to a whole nother level? If Coach McCarthy can take his game to a whole nother level, I think we will see Dak Prescott go from mid-tier quarterback to top 5 quarterback because he has everything he needs inside of him and around him.
That's fair. And listen, one of the reasons you guys have been giving me a hard time all week that I picked the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl last year, one of the reasons I won't be doing it this year is because I should have never believed in the transformation of Mike McCarthy. And last year disabused me of those notions. With that said, Mike McCarthy did not cause Dak Prescott in 4.5 games last year to throw 4 picks and fumble the ball 3 times. Like, so there are things Dak can do to tighten his own game up.
On that.
Maybe, Brandon, some of them maybe we can say were schemed. That's fine, but we also watch those games. Some of them were bad passes, and fumbles are usually on the fumbler. Not always, but usually fumbles are on the fumbler. So there are things Dak can clean up that he is going to be expected to clean up once he's back and fully healthy, Jenna.
And I will just say this real quick. If the Cowboys are going to protect Dak Prescott, at least in the early going from running, staying in the pocket, that puts a lot of pressure on Ezekiel Elliott that you mentioned, Brandon. That's something we haven't really talked about. He didn't have his best year last year. We'll see how much pressure that does put on him in this offense. We got to take a turn. Talk about a little Super Six.